You're listening to the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast. On today's episode of the podcast, we review the second test between England and India from Lords. It's the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast, and let's get started. Let's have a look at the match summary from the second test at Lords between England and India. India batted first and made 364 all out in their first innings. Rahul top scored with 129. Anderson took 5 wickets for England. England in reply all out for 391. Root top scored with 180 not out. Siraj took 4 wickets for India. India in their second innings, 8 for 298 declared. Ajinkya Rahane top scored with 61. Wood took 3 wickets for England. England needed 272 runs to win. They finished on 120 all out. Joe Root top scored with 33. And Mohammad Siraj took 4 wickets for India. India won by 151 runs, and KL Rahul was named man of the match. What were the key moments and key factors from this second test between England and India? India's first innings score of 364 after losing the toss. England's first innings batting and Joe Root's century to give England a 27-run lead in the first innings. Pujara and Rahane's partnership of 100 for the 4th wicket, and the partnership between Shami and Bumrah of 89 unbeaten for the 9th wicket was key for India to set England 272 to win. India's bowling in the second innings dismissing England for 120, which led to India winning by 151 runs. Those were the key moments and key factors from the second test at Lords. Let's have a look at both teams' performances in this second test match at Lords. We'll start with England and their batsmen. Burns 49-0, Sibley 11-0, Hamid 0-9, Root 180 not out and 33, Bairstow 57-2, Butler 23-25, and Ali 27-13. That's how the England batsmen went about things in this second test match at Lords. Yet again, another poor display with the bat from England. I don't think anyone's surprised. We keep saying it. It was another shocking performance, especially in the second innings. We'll get to that in a minute. But let's talk about the first innings first of all. Joe Root was superb as always. Brilliant batting from Joe Root. 180 not out, another century at Lords. He's now the second highest run scorer in Test cricket for England, surpassing Graham Gooch's run tally. And he just led from the front again, Joe Root, but no one supported him again. This is the problem with England. No one's supporting the captain. It's all the captain. How many times can Joe Root's bat to save the team and do all the run scoring for the team? You know, he can't do it forever. He can't be on this golden run forever. The game of cricket comes back to bite you where it hurts the most. And as a batsman, you know, you got to cash in when you're in good form, and Joe Root's certainly doing that. But what happens when the good form runs out? He can't keep doing it forever, and the rest of the batting unit are not supporting him. Yet again, we saw that in this test match. So another batting collapse again from England in the first innings, but also in the second innings, which was worse. As I said, we'll talk about that in a minute. But Joe Root's century, along with the partnership of 121 for the 4th wicket between him and Johnny Bairstow, pretty much got England past India's 364 score and got them a first innings lead of 27 runs. So without that partnership and without that century from Root, they wouldn't have gotten past India's first innings score and got that 27-run lead in this test match. So now we come to the second innings, and the second innings was absolutely pathetic. It was terrible batting from England. If you're an England supporter, you'll be, nodding your head and saying, what are you doing? You can't keep batting like this. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. And they lost wickets at regular intervals. 1 for 1, 2 for 1, 3 for 44, 4 for 67, 5 for 67, 6 for 90, 7 for 90, 8 for 120, 9 for 120, and 120 all out. They crumbled under the pressure set by India's bowlers, the England batsmen, needing 272 runs to win, which was not going to happen after India batted England out of the match Obviously, England got the tactics wrong to the tail enders. More on that when we discuss the England bowling performance in this second test match. The draw being the likely result for England. They couldn't even bat out to save the test match and bat for a draw. That's how bad the batting is from England. The batsmen struggled, and it's happening over and over again for England. Something needs to change. A stat that I just looked at about the England batting. England have the most ducks ever in a calendar year by the top 4 batsmen. 17 ducks in the calendar year in 2021. That is quite alarming, surpassing the previous record held by England with 16 ducks in 1998 in that calendar year. So that just shows you that the England batting is suffering and it is not firing on all cylinders. It's firing on one cylinder at the moment, and that's Joe Root. The rest are not all firing. Now, England have renamed their test squad for the third test match at Headingley, and they've brought in some different batsmen. Obviously, Darwin Malan has been recalled into England's squad for the third test match at Headingley. So England's third test match squad is Root, Ali, Anderson, Bairstow, Burns, Butler, Sam Curran, Hamid, Lawrence, Mahmood, Malan, Overton, Pope, Robertson, and Wood. So obviously a big absence in terms of players from that squad is Dom Sibley. He's been dropped. Darwin Malan comes in. Obviously, Zach Crawley's been omitted from the squad, so he won't return. England needed to do something in terms of changing their batting around. Dom Sibley, this was his last test match. This was his last chance here at Lord's to redeem himself. Unfortunately, he couldn't do that. He got 11 and 0 in this test match. Obviously, Dom Sibley's out of form. He's struggling. He's been struggling for a while now, and they've brought in Darwin Malan. Chris Silver would have said, enough's enough. Dom, you're out of the side. You're not producing. You're not repaying us with runs. We're going to leave you out and bring someone else in. And they've done that with Darwin Malan. Finally, England have made that change and said, we're going to do something about the batting. With Darwin Malan coming back into the side, you probably think he'll bat at number 3 for the next test at Headingley. If that's the case, Hamid will probably go up to open with Rory Burns to replace Dom Sibley at the top of the order. So I think that could be the combination that England go for the third test match at Headingley. With Malan coming back into the side and a different opening combination for England, potentially for the third test match, will this fix England's batting woes? Only time will tell. We've got to see what happens in the third test match. So Malan's back in. So will that improve England's batting slightly? We don't know. Only time will tell if it's improved their batting or not. But overall, their batting in this test match, England was poor again. The only one who stood out and led from the front was Joe Root. He was the only one who led from the front and scored runs. Everyone else did not do their part, didn't play to the best of their ability, and basically just gave up, really. So overall, their batting is poor. They need to improve that going forward for the rest of the series. And hopefully with Malan coming into the side, hopefully that could change England's batting woes and get the batsmen starting to score runs on a consistent basis. Let's have a look at the England bowlers and see how they performed in this second test match at Lord's against India. Ali took 3 wickets, Curran 1 wicket, Robinson 4 wickets, Wood 5 wickets, and Anderson 5 wickets, and no wickets for Joe Root. That's how the England bowlers performed in this second test match against India at Lord's. I thought England bowled well in the first innings to dismiss India for 364. They did well to keep them to that total in the first innings after Joe Root won the toss and chose to bowl first. Could have been 450 plus that India would have set in the first innings, but they did well to keep them to that 364 score. So they bowled well in that first innings. But it's the second innings where it started to go wrong for England. Up front in the Indian innings, the first half of the second innings for India, the bowling performance from England was good, but it was the second part of the second innings for England in terms of their bowling performance in this test match. It's where it started to go wrong for England, especially bowling to India's tail enders. Now, heading into day 5, India were 6 for 181 with Pant and Ishant Sharma at the crease. Pant was the key for India. Everyone was saying Rishabh Pant's the key for India. If he scored runs, India would have set England a big target to chase down in the last innings. Ollie Robinson removed him early on day 5, and then Ishant Sharma went, and India were 8 for 209 with the tail enders in. So everyone was thinking, India, they're done and dusted in this test match and they're not going to win. It's going to be England's game to lose. And they'll get rid of the tail enders and chase a total under 200 in the last innings to win. That didn't quite go to plan for the for the England team. Mohammad Shami and Jasprit Bumrah combined got India back into this test match with their partnership of 89 unbeaten for the 9th wicket. Joe Root in England got the tactics horribly wrong to the tail enders. They had the field spread out, saving runs rather than in attacking positions. Got carried away with the short ball. I think that was spurred on by what happened with Anderson and Bumrah. The partnership between Shami and Bumrah cost England this test match, and it did. I see it all the time with teams. When the tail enders come in, they seem to go away from their plans that they've set for the top and middle order batsmen. When the tail enders are in, the plans are changed. They tend to bowl a lot more bouncers and go away from those good lines and lengths and being consistent, hitting the top of off stump. And England did that. They went off from the plans. It's very important when you're bowling to tail enders, treat them like top order batsmen. If you bowl consistent lines and lengths to them, hit the top of off stump, bowl the occasional bouncer, but don't overdo it. Set aggressive fields. If you do that on a consistent basis and the tail enders are not scoring runs, they'll play a big shot and get out. England could have done that, but they didn't. They went away from that. They got carried away with the bouncer because of what happened with Bumrah and Anderson, bit of fire there. Their emotions got the better of them. And really, Joe Root, he stuffed it up. He really stuffed it up, and the tactics were horribly wrong. The partnership cost them the test match, and they could have wrapped it up quickly, England, but the tactics were horribly wrong to the tail enders. Now, Joe Root said after the game, tactically I got a few things wrong, and a lot falls on my shoulders. The game could have looked very different if I had managed things slightly different, and I will learn from that experience. So at least Joe Root's owned up as a captain and took that responsibility and copped it on the chin, and he said, yeah, I got it wrong. I've got to get better for next time. And for England, they just need to get the tactics right to the tail enders for the next 3 test matches of this series, because if they don't, this could happen again in the next test at Headingley. And I was very surprised that James Anderson, being the senior bowler he is, and he's bowled to a lot of tail enders in his time, in his illustrious career, didn't go up to Joe Root and said, Joe, you've got the tactics wrong here. What are we doing? We should really be doing this, not doing that. And I was quite surprised that he didn't do that, Anderson. He didn't go up to Joe Root and say that. So I think the bowlers need to take responsibility for this shocking performance with the ball in terms of the tactics to the tail enders, because the bowlers are going to be better than that, and Joe Root's going to be better at that as well as captain. So I think for England, overall, their bowling in this test match was okay in the first innings, but the second innings, especially to the tail enders, was quite poor. So they need to improve their tactics to the tail enders going forward for the rest of the series. Overall, England will be disappointed by this loss after Joe Root did so well to get England back into this test match with his superb century. After yet another poor performance from England with the bat, to then being in a winning position on day 5, having India on the ropes to that partnership between Shami and Bumrah, and the tactics to the tail enders costing them this test match. There's a lot of work to do for England. Let's have a look at India's performance in this second test match at Lord's against England. We'll start with their batsmen, Rohit Sharma 83 and 21, KL Rahul 129 and 5, Pujara 9 and 45, Kohli 42 and 20, Rahane 1 and 61, Pant 37 and 22, and Jadeja 40 and 3. That's how the Indian batsmen performed in this second test match. I thought India batted well in this test match. I thought they batted well in the first innings of this test match. To set 364 in the first innings after losing the toss was a very good effort after losing the toss. I thought Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul, once again, they batted superbly. Rahul's century was a magnificent century. He batted superbly. Good partnerships between Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul, 126 for the first wicket. Curley and Rahul added 117 for the third wicket, which got India to that 364 score, which was a very good effort indeed after losing the toss. India had a bit of a batting collapse. They lost a few wickets and they shouldn't have gotten 450 plus instead of 364. I think they left a few runs out there. They could have easily got 450, but instead they got 364. So they left a few runs out there with the loss of wickets and having a slight batting collapse. It cost them getting that 450 score. The second innings of their batting, they were a bit under pressure, India. They lost wickets at regular intervals, under pressure to set England a competitive target to chase down in the last innings. But Pujara and Rahane combined, and they added 100 for the fourth wicket, both of them struggling for form, but showed great fight and resilience to find a way and score runs for India. That contributed to India winning this test match in the end. Obviously, Pujara and Rahane struggling for form. This partnership and the scores they made obviously will boost their confidence going forward for the rest of the series. And hopefully for India, they can score plenty of runs in the next 3 test matches. But it was good to see Pujara and Rahane get back into some sort of form. Not quite at their best, but they got back into some form in this second innings for India here at Lord's. Heading into day 5, India was 6 for 181, so they were still under pressure to post a competitive target for England to chase down in the last innings. And Pant and Ishant Sharma were at the crease. Obviously, Rishabh Pant was the key. If he scored runs for India, India would have set England a big target to chase down in the last innings. Obviously, England removed Rishabh Pant early on day 5. Robinson got him out, and then Ishant Sharma followed. And India were 8 down for 209 with the tailenders in at the crease. But it was Mohammad Shami's and Jasprit Bumrah's partnership got India back into this test match. They added 89 unbeaten for the 9th wicket. They set England 272 runs to win, which saw England's chances of winning the match disappear, which saw India go on to win the test match in the end. India's tailenders have been struggling to score runs, but Virat Kohli said the tailenders have been working very hard to score runs, looking to improve their batting, and we saw that in this second innings with Shami and Bumrah. The hard work has paid off, and Bumrah and Shami were batting magnificently. They were batting like Sir Garfield Sobers and Sir Viv Richards out there, playing all sorts of shots, and that partnership got India back into this match. So they have to thank Shami and Bumrah, India, especially Virat Kohli. He'll have to thank Bumrah and Shami for getting India back into this test match with their partnership, because England got the tactics wrong to the tailenders, and they did. And that's why that partnership was able to develop as it did and led to India winning this test match. One thing about India's batting is their batting collapses. As we saw at Trent Bridge in the first innings, where India had a chance to post a big score and bat England out of the match, they didn't grab that opportunity. And the same thing happened here at Lord's in the first innings. India need to grab these opportunities going forward for the rest of the series when they present themselves. They need to stop having these batting collapses. That's something they need to improve on going forward in this series. So they need to stop those batting collapses. And when they're in a dominant position in the first innings, as they were at Trent Bridge and here at Lord's, they need to grab the opportunities and put England under pressure with their fragile batting lineup. And they didn't quite grab that opportunity again. So that's something where India need to improve on going forward for the rest of the series. But overall, their batting was okay in this test match, India. KL Rahul was the standout, and the partnership between Shami and Bumrah was a standout as well in this batting performance. Let's have a look at the bowling performance, talk about that, and let's have a look at India's bowlers and see how they went in this second test match. No wickets for Jadeja, 3 wickets for Shami, 5 wickets for Ishant Sharma, 3 wickets for Bumrah, and 8 wickets for Siraj. That's how the Indian bowlers performed in this second test match. I thought India's bowlers bowled well in the first innings, keeping England to 391, which gave England a lead of 27 runs. At least the lead was 27 runs, so not a 100-run lead. So that was good from India's bowlers to keep the lead to a minimum, which was 27 runs, and they bowled well. But it was really in the second innings where India's bowlers really showed us how good they are. And it was high-quality bowling from the Indian bowlers. They were relentless in their lines and lengths. England's batsmen crumbled under the pressure, which led to yet another England batting collapse. Everyone contributed nicely, all taking wickets. Mohammad Siraj was the standout, taking 8 wickets, but four crucial wickets in that second innings. Bumrah, back to his best. Ishant Sharma, class. Shami, class. Jadeja didn't take any wickets, but he did his role, especially in the first innings. Didn't bowl much in the second innings because Lords is not renowned for its spinning tracks, but he did contribute in some way. Even though he didn't take any wickets, but he managed to keep the runs down and keep some pressure on, which was good for India. It just shows that this bowling attack that India have is quality. Jadeja, Shami, Ishant Sharma, Bumrah, Siraj, all quality, and they showed that in this second innings, and they absolutely blew England out of the park to guide India to a famous victory here at Lords. Overall, India will be delighted by this win at Lords. Despite being behind in the game, they were able to find a way to get back into the game and go on to win. Just shows this resilience and fight that this Indian team have. This win will put them in good stead for the rest of the series. Let's preview the third test of the series between England and India from Headingley, talk about the potential 11s for both teams, and who's going to win this third test. Let's have a look at both teams' record at Headingley in test matches. The first test match played between England and India at Headingley was back in 1952. They've played 6 matches here at Headingley. 1 of them have been drawn. England have won 3, and India have won 2. So let's have a look at the potential 11s for the third test match for both England and India. We'll start with England. Burns, Hamid, Malan, Root, Bairstow, Butler, Ali, Sam Curran, Robinson, Wood, and Mahmood, and Anderson. Now, I think England will make 2 changes to their 11 for the third test match at Headingley. With Dawid Malan being named in the squad for the third test match, that's an indication that he may be in the starting 11. Now, with Dom Sibley being out of the squad, therefore, Dawid Malan will come in to replace Dom Sibley. He'll probably bat at number 3. With Hamid in the side, he was batting at number 3 in the second test at Lords. So, with Malan coming in at number 3, I think Hamid will come in to open the batting with Burns and replace Sibley at the top of the order. So I think that could be one of the changes that England make. The other change is Mark Wood. He's in doubt with that shoulder injury that he picked up at Lords. With Mahmood named in the squad, obviously being a fast bowler, Mahmood, he could be the likely candidate to replace Mark Wood in the side if Mark Wood is not fit for the third test match. So that could be the other change that England make in this third test match. That could be England's potential 11 for the third test. Let's have a look at India's potential 11 for the third test match. Rohit Sharma, Rahul, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Pant, Jadeja, Shami, Ishant Sharma, Bumrah, and Siraj. I think India will keep the same 11 for the third test match. No need to change the team after this great win at Lords. I think they want to keep the same team for that cohesion, which is very important in a cricket team. You want to keep that same team for that winning momentum going forward. And I think India will do that in this third test match. That could be India's potential 11 for the third test match at Headingley. Who's going to win this third test match at Headingley? I think India are going to win this third test because India have the momentum after this wonderful win at Lords. They'll be determined to keep this winning momentum going forward for the rest of the series. They will be hard to beat, and England will have to be at their absolute best to beat them and win this series. What can we expect from both teams heading into the third test at Headingley? England will be doing a lot of soul searching after this defeat at Lords. The batsmen need to improve and look at ways to get better and start scoring runs consistently and support Joe Root more. Also, the bowlers will need to have better tactics to India's tail-enders. India will be looking to improve, learn and get better from the second test at Lords, looking to carry on this winning momentum heading into the third test match at Headingley. What a test match we witnessed at Lords. This win by India at Lords will go down as one of the best test victories in Indian test cricket history. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get the latest episodes of the podcast, and like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Until next time, keep safe and bye for now.